Former President Uhuru Kenyatta and former Nigerian President Olesegun Obasanjo are presiding over a ceremony for senior commanders to sign the declaration of the implementation of the Ethiopia Cessation of Hostilities agreement between the government of the Federal Republic of Ethiopia and the Tigray People's Liberation Front. The agreement was arrived at following the successful conclusion of the Ethiopia peace talks, which were started in Pretoria, South Africa on the 25th of October 2022. President Uhuru Kenyatta and Olusegun Obasanjo were part of the high-level African Union panel, which brokered a truce to end the two-year conflict in Ethiopia's Tigray region. The senior commanders met recently after the signing of the agreement to discuss and work out detailed modalities on its implementation. We now join Safina Chieng live from the Moran Center in Nairobi. Safina, has the signing of the declaration taken place, and maybe what are the implications of this particular agreement?
A very good afternoon to you, Wycliffe or Randy back there in studio. Indeed, like you rashly put it, we are coming to you live from the Moran Training Center at Karen in Nairobi. And of course, we were following very closely on what was expected to take place. That is the signing of the declarations by senior commanders who met recently following the truce that was reached with regard to ending the conflict in Ethiopia. Of course, President Uhuru Kenyatta, former President Uhuru Kenyatta, and former President of Nigeria, Olesegun Obasanjo, are part of the leaders who are going to be presiding over that particular signing ceremony. It is a ceremony that comes following a meeting that was held recently by senior commanders just to find a way of coming up with the way forward on the implementation of the recently agreed the cessation of hostilities agreement in Ethiopia that sought to end a two-year conflict that has caused a massive destruction and loss of life in that region, and of course serious violations of human rights. Of course, we remember that recently a high-level panel of the African Union, former President Uhuru Kenyatta being part of it, had a meeting in South Africa to discuss the way forward on the war that was there in Ethiopia. And of course, the talks were launched on the 25th of October 2022, and it was seeking to reach a truce between the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia and the Tigray People's Liberation Front, just to find a way of restoring peace and stability in that particular region. Now, the panel actually came up with some positive news after the conclusion of that particular meeting. That was the first public formal talks seeking to end the war that has gone on in that particular country for 2 years. And the news was that they had agreed, the parties to the war had agreed to a cessation of hostilities agreement. And part of the requirements of this agreement was that parties were supposed to have senior commanders hold a meeting 5 days after the agreement to just come up with the ways in which they are going to support efforts to implement this particular agreement. And that is what happened. And today they were supposed to be signing part of the declarations that they came up with after that particular meeting. And former President Uhuru Kenyatta and the former President of Nigeria, Olesegun Obasanjo, are here. It's a meeting that was supposed to start around 10 a.m., but it is about 7 minutes to 1, about 3 hours later. It has not yet kick-started. We've not gotten any information as to why there's been delays, but we are still putting our ears on the ground just to follow up very closely on this. But it is something that is going to go a long way to ensure that Ethiopia is restored back to its former self as a democratic country, and also a country that is safe for all to stay in. And of course also those who are mediating in the talks to reach that particular truce affirmed and committed that even after that agreement was reached, they were going to work with Ethiopia to ensure that, that war is a thing of the past. So it is a process that I would say just began. and will continue in several months to come, just to make sure that everything that was included in that particular agreement is arrived at. Of course, we are going to stay on top of this, just to make sure that we also bring you up to speed with what the leaders here are going to say concerning the way forward following the signing of that agreement. But for now, it's back to you, Wycliffe, in studio. My name is Safin Acheng Ouma.
Well, thank you very much, Safin. There, just following up on the signing of the declaration of the implementation of the Ethiopian cessation of hostilities agreement between the government of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia and the Tigray People's Liberation Front, TPLF. And of course, we'll keep tabs on that particular process, which is, she said, about 4 hours late. But we'll bring you those details in our subsequent bulletins.